Amargosaurus, one of the smaller members of the sauropods, continues to draw amazement thanks to its astonishing spinal spikes. These neural spines have been hypothesized as having many uses, but research is still ongoing.
Hey folks, this is Best in Slot, and that was the brand new Amargasaurus species field guide. The very first field guide for a new dinosaur, admittedly one that we've already seen quite a lot of. Throughout this video, we're going to go through it bit by bit, frame by frame, and just have a look at what we can spot that's new. There isn't too much to get into today, this should be a pretty quick video, but we'll talk about what we've seen and what we think of the profile overall, stuff like that. So the first thing I want to point out very quickly is this opening intro. That would be an intro. The opening section kind of thing. I don't know if this is important, but this is actually a different backdrop for this species profile than the one the Triceratops had. The Triceratops one was a lot darker and warmer looking, whereas the Amargosaurus is featured here in a more sort of alpine-esque environment. In reality, that probably doesn't matter at all, but it is interesting that we're seeing an alpine background, and in the rest of the species profile, the Amargosaurus will be in a more alpine, I think it's taiga, kind of environment. Now, maybe this is just reflective of where those dinosaurs will be unlocked or something like that. Maybe it's reflective of absolutely nothing. I just thought it was worth pointing out. So the first section of this species field guide really does have the meat of the whole thing. It shows us a brand new mechanic. We've talked about this on the channel quite a bit already, but it is basically the ability to hatch multiple eggs at the same time. What you're going to do instead is apply lots of genetics to a clutch of eggs. You're going to take viable eggs from that clutch of eggs, and you can then release them all at the same time. Now, during the interview that this species field guide came from, they did say that the number of eggs you can hatch is determined by the species that you're trying to hatch. So I think for larger dinosaurs like sauropods, and we know for the Tyrannosaurus rex they released in a pair. For the larger dinosaurs maybe it's a 2, for the mid-sized dinosaurs it's a 3, and maybe the smaller dinosaurs you can do 4 at once. What I really like about this is it's not 2 dinosaurs just walking out side by side in the same animation. It's not one dinosaur walks out then the other dinosaur walks out. It is clearly a custom animation designed for these dinosaurs in a pair specifically. So it'll be interesting to see if, let's say you release 3 raptors usually, what if you release 2 raptors? Is that a whole new animation? Is it the same as the 3 dinosaur animation but with 1 removed? We'll have to wait and see. Now, I'm a big fan of the Amargosaurus design already. I love the exposed spines. I love that they've actually included that. These ones in particular, you can see it's interesting. I don't know if it's part of the pattern or the basal skin, but there is a line of blue, oddly enough, of all the colours. Near the top of the spines, there's like a shred of blue going across both Amargosauruses. Now, they do have the same skin pattern, so that would make a lot of sense. And it's just an adorable animation. You really again feel the sort of weight of these dinosaurs. They're small, but you can see as the small one bounds out, it kind of like topples side to side ever so slightly as its weight shifts. And it feels like the second one is this eager younger brother or younger sister, in this case, of the first one that comes out, who's like, you know, the older kid trudging out and then everyone bounding around after them. It comes out all excited, grunting, looks over, and the brother, or the sister, I guess the older one, turns and goes, yeah, alright then. And then to cap it all off, the younger sibling, although they are the same age, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to suggest juveniles or different sizes or anything here, but the one I'm calling the younger sibling then looks down at the ground as if in shame. There's like a little story here. And whenever I've been talking about this egg release hatchery process in the past, the one thing I've said is that I really like how it makes your dinosaurs feel more like a family. You've got these 2 Amargosauruses releasing together, and then those 2 Amargosaurus could be together for the rest of the game. They become like a little family unit almost, and they've got their own stories, and they've started together, so it feels more wholesome and more like naturalistic, you know? We'll move on from this in just a second. I just want to talk about the fence in the background very briefly. It's got 2 red bars at the bottom. I talked about this in the last species profile. I think it was mentioned in Jurassic Park the game. It's been a while since I played the game. It's obviously not in my recent memory. But basically they painted the fence red to stop the Triceratops from charging at it. So that's probably what this red fence is. It's probably a dissuasion mechanism to stop your herbivores from trying to break out. They probably still can, maybe. Maybe not. It'd be cool if they couldn't. You know, I'm totally okay with banning herbivore breakouts past a certain point, unless, you know, tornadoes and stuff. But that's probably what the system is. It's probably a deterrent for your herbivorous dinosaurs. So in the second scene, we get a closer look up at the Amargosaurus, our best look at the dinosaur so far. I'm going to talk about the skins and colour patterns, but we're going to do that in the next one where it makes a little bit more sense. But I do want to talk about the spines, the exposed spines, which I really, really, really like. They do have that blue sort of sheath that we've seen already. There's also green in the tip. It's interesting that they are coloured. I didn't really expect that so much. I'm wondering if that is themed after the basal dinosaur skin. We can see, you know, we have a green Amargosaurus, we have a green tip to the spike. But the thing I really like about how these look is because of this layered kind of effect, this sedimentary sort of effect, it looks like there's growth there. You know, as old growth takes over new growth over time. I also quite enjoy the half measure between. There's a little bit of a skin join there, a bit of a sail, but it's a bit slight, and then we've got the exposed spines. I think that's a really nice... I think that's just a really nice combo of all the different iterations of Amargosaurus we tend to see. We've got a really interesting counter shading going on here, this sort of swathe of red under the stomach, which is really interesting colour combination with the green. The animation is predictably rather fantastic. Yeah, I really like the Amargosaurus, it's growing on me a lot. It's big, it's chunky, that's how I like my dinosaurs. But I really enjoyed the animations of this scene in general. They've talked a lot about how they want their dinosaurs to feel more lifelike and stuff like that, and to integrate more with other dinosaurs and social, and just more animations to bring them to life a little bit more. And this little animation does show that quite a bit. As it's walking forward, the Amargosaurus, we see, you know, it's looking around, it's biting, chomping a little bit, its body's shifting, the neck is shifting, there's weight movement going on, and then at the end, there's a little animation where it sort of looks to the left, you know, cranes its neck forward, tilts its head, it's looking at someone as it's walking past. It's a very basic interaction, but it's just little nods to other dinosaurs, especially if it's not an Amargosaurus on the end of it. It's a really cool thing that makes them feel more like real-world creatures. Behind the Amargosaurus as well, there is some suspicious looking foliage. It is bright green ferns and it really sticks out amongst the grass. Now, we did get further confirmation in the live stream that you'll be able to paint paleo foliage. It's not just going to be a plop down on the ground and done kind of thing. Well, it can be, but you can either place it individually, I believe, or you'll actually it'll be part of the terrain brush system. And those ferns look quite suspicious, I would say. It's a very dry environment, generally speaking. A lot of the trees are pale or yellow, and the grass is very sort of dry looking, and then these ferns are bright and colourful, so I suspect they may be the paleo foliage for the Amargosaurus. Different dinosaurs are going to have different paleo foliage that they have to eat from. And the final clip is a really good way to talk about the new species coloration and pattern system. So we have 3 different Amargosauruses on the screen at one time. All of them have, so basically the new skin system is split between 2 facets. There's the base colour and there's the pattern. All 3 of these Amargosaurus have a different base colour, but have the same pattern. You can see it's this dark swathe of outlined stripe going along the sort of shoulder area up to the head and down to the tail, and then it kind of doppels down at the side, and you can see that exact pattern on all of the others as well, on all 3 Amargosauruses. However, they have an entirely different base colour, so this is the system we've been talking about. Basically, there's 12 base colours for each dinosaur, so there's 3 here already. There's 9 more base colours to play with for the Amargosaurus. And then there's 7 patterns for each dinosaur. So we've already seen the default one, that's basically you remove the striping. We've seen this one with the striping. Hopefully some of them are more elaborate, some of them are more chill, but being able to combo patterns and base colours in this kind of way is going to make for a lot heavier dinosaur customization. It's not quite a colour wheel or completely customizing and painting them ourselves, but you know, it's a big step forward. We've gone from 5 to 6 combinations up to 84 combinations, and that's quite a big jump right there. And you can see already here, these dinosaurs feel like they're part of a whole, as in they're part of one group. That pattern is kind of putting them together, but with the different base colours, they still feel distinct and individual, and I think that in particular is going to just be a whole lot easier going forward. I mean, as long as you have 12 or less dinosaurs, you could have every single one of them be a different colour. That alone is a big deal to me. You also see a darker colour on the Brachiosaurus, what looks to be the default pattern. Can't really see too much of it from here, but it's just a darker version of the existing pattern we have in the game. The Amargosaurus in the middle doesn't seem to be doing much of anything, it's just kind of walking along. It might actually be near enough the same clip we just saw in the last part of the video. But we do have two new animations here. The first one is on the right hand side. We have the resting animation for the Amargosaurus. This is where they're not going to sleep, but they're just sitting down and chilling, you know, relaxing old school, shoot some b-ball outside of the school. And a couple of Brachiosauruses who want to know good. Never stop that. But the point is, that's a new resting animation. It's just chilling. But we already saw that with the Triceratops. What I want to focus on is this adorable animation that we have on the left hand side, which is this shake. I guess it's just trying to, you know, loosen the muscles a little bit. Maybe there's flies batting around, it's trying to swat them away, you know, the same way we see African large mammals kind of rumble around and shake, you know, clearing off mud and stuff like that. Actually, one of the details I really like about this one, if you watch the left foot of the Amargosaurus when it first begins the animation, you can see this little dust cloud pop up from the ground as this dinosaur shifting this mammoth weight around on the earth is of course going to kick up some dirt and earth into the air, and the fact that that's actually a visual thing now is really cool. Little details that ground the animals in reality and are vitally important. And then it just looks around, just goes about its life. You've got to say, as much as the dinosaurs are always incredible looking, until I'm totally convinced by the behaviours, personally I need to see the social interactions more between the dinosaurs. I need to see them directly interface with each other, and, you know, the hunting and stuff like that is definitely a big thing as well. However, I just want to say the environment that we're playing with in here is I mean, Evolution was a pretty game. It genuinely was, but it felt very samey by the end. This is a beautiful place. It's absolutely stunning. We've got huge variety in the trees, both in size and species and colour. We've got different ground foliage going on. The grass changes texture. These little heathery purple flowers popping up. It's just, it feels much more like a real world, basically, whereas Evolution could feel a little bit toyish in a way. This feels much more grounded and natural to me, which I personally really like. Some people have suggested, and I'm not convinced either way, but I'm going to point it out, that the sharpness angle for elevation may have increased. That is a moderately steep hill right there. That's something that Jurassic World Evolution was very, very bad at. You can only make very gradual hills, but the one in the back, particularly just behind the green Amargosaurus and up to where the Brachiosaurus is standing, looks moderately sharp. It could be that whilst we're not going to get expansive terrain tools like to a crazy level, maybe they've given us a little bit more freedom there. I'd like it if we could make slightly sharper hills than we could in the past and had a little bit more control over cliffs and stuff like that. So we'll keep an eye out for stuff like that as we go along. I'm not convinced quite yet, but it's a promising start. The environments look beautiful, the dinosaurs are well animated, the colour system is really interesting. Still need to see some more interactions, but the animations and stuff are beautiful, as they always bloody are. So either way, big fan of the Amargosaurus, my chunky spiky dinosaur, definitely in the pantheon of one of my favourite dinosaurs already, but hey, maybe, you know, all these fantastic new dinosaurs are going to push it further down. Just before we go, there's a couple of things that happened in the stream that I very briefly want to talk about. The first is that Cabot Finch has been confirmed to return. Maybe the biggest news of the day, unironically, maybe the biggest news of the day. He's back, he's been divorced, he's going to talk about it. I cannot wait. I'm very excited about that. The other thing was that one of the executive producer in the second, it's Max, or I can't remember his name and I feel terrible about it. I actually feel really bad about that, I'm sorry. Anyways, the producer, he talked in the second part of the interview and he was about to announce, accidentally, a new dinosaur species. We were talking about hard to pronounce dinosaurs and he nearly let spill what it was going to be, a new dinosaur. So, there is a new species out there that is difficult to pronounce. That's all the information we have, but it's worth mentioning. Somebody suggested it might be Quetzalcoatlus, which I think is a pretty good shout, so we'll have to wait and see. Either way, hopefully we don't have to wait 2 more weeks for this next species field guide. Hopefully these are weekly for a little bit at least. You know, these are, I think, like one of the most hype things in the community, so that would be really nice to see. 2 weeks is much too long. And that's about it from me. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Throw me a like down below if you did. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you lovely folks next time. Cheers much love as always. Bye bye.